So Kel'el Ware was, in my opinion, the most impressive player in Summer League. Yeah, we've got, like, Reed Shepherd looked better as a guard. It's easier to look better in general in basketball when you're a guard. But I just think when everything was taken into account, the best player in Summer League was Kel'el Ware. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Maybe it's bias as a Heat fan. Maybe it's bias as a guy who, on my Mixed Talk Hoops channel, made multiple videos talking about the fact that I did not understand how Kel'el Ware was dropping. It made no sense to me. And again, look, I'm no... I don't watch as much basketball. I didn't watch as much in college as some of these draft experts did. But for me, it just never made sense how this guy was not a, like, given top 10 pick. Like, I genuinely thought that it was not only not even close for him being a top 10, top 12 pick. I thought it should have been a given. I thought genuinely he was closer as far as, like, level-wise goes to a top 5 pick than he was to falling out of the lottery. And he fell out of the lottery. And thankfully, he proved me right in the playoffs, or in the Summer League. And it's one of those things where it's like, his team needs, like, they need players that are bigs. They need someone beside Bam Adebayo. And as far as the NBA is concerned, the NBA has a severe lack of American bigs. And it was just such a shock to see him go the way he did. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why he dropped and also the reasons why scouts completely just misread the entire situation. And they overthought things. But before we get onto it, obviously, and this is what we said, and if you're wondering that I'm BSing, I'm not. And for that, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. But I basically said how the Hawks can win in the draft, and it was trade down for Kel'el Ware. And also, he needs to be a lottery pick. He's better than Sarr. I was that high on Ware. But the biggest reason why he fell was because of a lack of care. A lack of care about the sport of basketball. A lack of, like, drive in him, whereas people believed Aleksej did that. But as someone who obviously kind of came late to looking at these prospects, I watched... You can only judge by what a person does, not how a person looks. And I think that's probably where some of the issue is with a lot of draft people watching Kel'el Ware almost too close. So he had the reputation of somebody who didn't care, and people said body language was an issue. So people looked way too close at Kel'el Ware. And yeah, sometimes he looks like he just doesn't care. Kel'el Ware could block 6 shots in a row and just stare. He does, like, he's not going to be amped. He's not going to celebrate. But what Kel'el Ware did show was he was not good in his first year in college. He then transfers to Indiana and becomes one of the best bigs in Division 1. As far as the measurables go, he's the same height, same wingspan as Aleksej, tested better than Aleksej in everything in the draft combine. And also, his improvement, you can tell about a player's attitude based on can they improve at what they're bad at. And even though Kel'el Ware improved in everything between his first and second year in college, is still not old, and showed that he has made those massive strides, he was still seen as this player that doesn't care. Even though, if you don't care, you're not going to improve. You're going to just be happy riding out your 4 years in college. You're not going to make that step into being what should have been a lottery pick between your first and your second year. Whereas if you look at Aleksej, this is the career of Aleksej. Aleksej, I'll probably make another video about Aleksej as well, but he jumped from team to team to team to team to team, never actually performing. Just being at every single spot that he was raw potential. And it didn't matter where he went. His output was never what his potential should have been. No matter what, even competing against guys his own age. Everything was raw potential, raw potential, raw potential. And while there was improvement in his skills, his, like, handle, his jump shot, he is a great handle for a 7'1" guy, sure. What difference does it make if a 7'1" guy has a handle, if they can't do what a 7'1" guy is meant to do? But this guy has been the steal of the draft. I think in a redraft, especially because Atlanta were looking for a big, and the only reason they took Ricochet was they were like, oh, well, we don't really want to take Klingon. I think, knowing what everyone knows, he's in that conversation for number 1. I think he's in that, especially when teams need a big. I think when Memphis are trying, or when Portland are going and getting themselves clinging, I think they're happy with it. I think Memphis are happy with Edie. But when teams were trying to trade up with Charlotte to get clinging, in hindsight, there's no way that Kel'el Ware falls past 6. And it's not even just Summer League, because Summer League doesn't matter. It's just how he plays. It's that people have realized that low motor that he supposedly has is just the fact that the man's emotionless on the floor. That he can get up and down, he can shoot the ball a little bit, he blocks shots, his positional sense is good. He might be a player that doesn't look like he's putting in the most effort, but clearly he is. He's improving. So, the man was the steal of the draft. He was the actual steal of the draft. And the fact is that I think that there's more of an argument for him going number 1 than Aleksej. A lot of people talking about how Aleksej was the number 1 pick because of all this potential. I think he is better than or the potential of Aleksej in 2 years, 3 years, is what Kel'el Ware is right now. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm somebody that was so high on Ware. Trade 1 and 8 if there's a little legitimate chance. If not, just take Edie at Ware or 8 since they're not that much of a drop off from Klingen. I actually didn't think they were a drop off from Klingen at all. And then, heck, my comment under the 6 Rings of Steals post. Give me your draft hot takes. Aleksej's fool's gold and Kel'el Ware be better than them. I mean, it's looking like a good take so far. But anyway, yeah, that's the video. I genuinely not necessarily that I just loved Kel'el Ware as a prospect. I watched so much of Kel'el Ware while I was doing my draft evaluations. Didn't really watch him at the time. Didn't really watch too much of basketball previously. And just was like, how are people so wrong on this guy? And I genuinely tricked myself into thinking maybe I'm wrong. But this is a case where you see it with some prospects. And it's a big reason why prospects go way too high is people become enamored on one part of a game. They become like obsessed with one thing a player does. And if that one thing doesn't translate, the player ends up being a bust. Or a group of like draft experts become obsessed in one negative aspect, which was with the Kel'el Ware's lack of emotion. They become obsessed with that, equating a lack of emotion to a lack of drive, a lack of caring. When, you know what, sometimes players just don't show emotion. He's not going to be Tim Duncan, but it's not like Tim Duncan did either. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm so high on this guy. I'm super high. I think he is, without question, going to be one of the top 3 or 4 best players in this draft class. And as a Miami Heat fan, we got to steal, lads. We got to steal.